Deep in southeast Alaska, a man meets a stranger on a forest trail, but locals call it a Kushtaka, an otter man that wears a human shape. On Myths, Monsters, and Mullets, we hear how it asked for a cigarette, then warned him not to whistle in the woods. When it stepped off the trail, it didn't walk away. It disappeared.
Out in the woods, shadows creep slow. Footprints deep where no man should go. Cold winds howl through hollers and brooks. Whispers of Bigfoot in the way it looks. Myths, monsters, and bullets in the night. Under a pale moon, strange glowing light. Truth out there like a blade it cuts. Myths, monsters, and bullets run amok.
Welcome back to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets, the show where the strange, the unexplained, and the weird take center stage, and where the people behind the encounters matter just as much as the encounters themselves. We're not here just to talk about what was seen. We're here to understand who saw it, how it changed them, and why it still matters. Before we dive in, quick shout out to our supporters over on Patreon. If you want to help keep the show independent, ad-free, and unapologetically weird, head over to Patreon for members-only episodes, early access to public episodes, and bonus material you won't see or hear anywhere else. If you've had an encounter or something weird you've just never been able to explain, I want to hear from you. Email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. That's mythsandmullets@gmail.com. Your experience can be featured on a future episode. Don't forget to mark your calendars, June 6th, 2026. I'll be speaking at the Arkansas Cryptid Fest in North Little Rock, Arkansas. If you're into cryptids, folklore, and listening to great speakers, that's where you need to be. If you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed, leave us a review, share the show with a friend who lives for the unexplained. That's the only way we can grow. Welcome back to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I am your host, John Methenkamp. On tonight's show, we have a guy that our friend Matthew introduced us to, and I'm still trying to figure out whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but so far it's been pretty good. Dano from the Cryptid Podcast. How you doing tonight?
What's up, John? Good to see you, man.
You too. And it's not like we haven't been talking already for 19 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much, Shooting it, as they would say.
All right. So, Dan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure, everybody. My name is Dano. Well, Daniel Hamilton. I go by Dano. I've had that nickname for like 30 years now. It was given to me by my daughter's great-grandfather, her mom's grandfather. That's another story. But anyway, yeah, I'm the host of the Cryptid Podcast. I can be heard on YouTube or seen on YouTube. Now seen on Spotify as well. And then I'm also over on, thanks to Tommy, I'm on iHeart Music, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and a host of other ones, man. So, but yeah.
So just about anywhere you can find your podcast, we look for the Cryptid Podcast.
Yeah. And subscribe, you guys. If you guys like what you hear, like what you see, please subscribe to the channel, hit those likes, hit those notifications when I go live. And drop new episodes. So I do 2 episodes a week, and I do lives every other Saturday. I'm doing this whole series that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I just started it. I'm on episode number 4 now, and it's called 50 States of Fear, and I'm going alphabetical order. So next Saturday, a week from today, we'll be hitting up Arkansas.
Oh, nice. So, speaking of Arkansas,
yeah, what about it?
We're going to be in Arkansas.
We are.
June 6, 2026 for the Arkansas Cryptid Fest, put on by Drunken Cryptids.
Yep.
I will be a speaker.
Hey, I'm going to be a speaker.
Really?
I am.
Holy cow. I just found that out today. Wow.
Did you? Nice. Well, we like to
right
keep
here,
secrets.
right now. It's all
exclusive. It's exclusive, man. So, Yeah, no, you're right. Matt did bring us together, the host of Drunken Cryptids, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna do like a roundtable thing for the Halloween, and I want you to meet some of my buddies." And dude, man, it's like I've known you guys forever. It's just like we all clicked, which is cool because sometimes you meet people, not necessarily just in this community, but just other things, and you just either you want to hang out with them or you just don't even want to remember them. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just how it is. And so, yeah, I mean, I learn a lot from you guys. Just even in our daily chat that we have, sometimes, 99.89% of the time we're all goofing on each other.
That's Alan's fault.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know what? I've always found it, when there's some tomfoolery or effery going on, there's an Alan behind it somewhere.
Right?
So,
right. I never had tomfoolery in my life until I met Alan.
Man, I didn't know what tomfoolery was until I met Alan, but I knew what shenanigans was.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And now it's everyday shenanigans.
It is, and it's what it makes the day go by a little bit easier. Because trust me, if I could do this full time, yeah,
Absolutely.
My regular 9 to 5, I'd be done.
Yep. I would never press cycle start on a CNC machine ever again.
I would never log into a phone ever again.
Yeah.
Would never have to touch this little security key with my finger to gain access to my computer ever again.
Yeah. So, but we're not going to talk about Alan all day.
No.
Because he doesn't deserve the recognition.
No. He's substandard at best. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's a good guy.
Alan's great.
He is.
Alan's
really
the reason
is.
I have a podcast. So
yeah.
We'll talk about that when we record for your show. But
sure.
So how did you get into podcasting?
I got into podcasting, like being on a podcast or doing it my own.
Your own.
So I started out as a co-host on like a Thursday night show for my buddy Josh Smith. His channel is Mysteries Unknown. I was a guest on his show, and it's like 2 weeks later he messages me back. He's like, "Hey man, it's me from." And we go, "Oh hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Hey, a lot of people really liked your interview, and they wanted you back. Could you come back for another episode?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, not a problem." And then, like, shortly after that, he messaged me again. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing a live show. Would you be interested in being a co-host?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I did that for a little bit, and then life got in the way. And those were starting getting, less and less. But by the time that happened, I had already started my podcast. I actually started a podcast called The Paranormal Narrative, where I was talking about hauntings and ghost stories and things like that. And I did that for about 3 or 4 months, maybe a little bit longer. Then I started to get some really, for lack of a better term, threatening emails from people who were demanding that I allow them on the channel because they had a message that they wanted to talk about. And, when the first email came through, like in one day I got like 12 emails just from random people. And, "Hey, I've had this encounter. I'd like to come on and talk about it if it's okay, if it's something you're interested in. Sure, let's book you a time." And most of them were like that. But there was like this group of like 4 that were all pretty much the same thing. And it was talking about black magic and witchcraft and possession and demons, and that's just part of the paranormal world that I do not want to cover. The occult and things like that. I'm like, nah, thanks guys. I do cover paranormal, but that's kind of like the major league, so to speak. I just don't want to dive into that type of stuff, because when you start giving that stuff power, it starts manifesting, and I don't want to do that. And a couple of them like, "Oh no, hey man, we completely understand. That's cool. Hey, good luck with the show, whatever." Well, then there was 2 of them, and I, "Oh no, we think you should really reconsider." And "Nah, you guys think so much." And they'd send out another email. No, you really need to pay attention. Well, I just started ignoring them, and then next thing you know, listen, we're not playing any games with you. And I'm paraphrasing. It's like, we have a message that needs to be heard, and you need to let us on your channel. And I'm like, nope, that's not happening. So I started deleting everything and deleted the entire channel, deleted everything that had to do with the paranormal narrative. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I started thinking about it. And so I talked to Josh. I go, hey, man, would it be an issue between us? Would there be beef between us if I started doing a cryptid podcast? And he's like, no, not at all, And so he goes, dude, if I can help you in any way, shape, or form, let me know. He's like, I'm actually stoked that you want to do one. I'm like, cool. And so I just got online, got on Google, started looking for names, ChatGPT, looking for cool names, and I couldn't find anything that I liked or what I wanted was taken. And I was like, you know what? I just wish I could call it the Cryptid Podcast. And so I looked it up, and I'll be danged, it was available.
That's
was
weird.
There was nothing out there, the Cryptid Podcast. So I own the Cryptid Podcast name. I own the URL for it. It's mine. So I've got a reminder on my phone. In 2 more years I gotta renew it. So and hopefully I'll I can afford with monetization of with the podcast. Maybe if there's like a lifetime thing, I can, however much that cost, I can afford that, and then I'll always have it. So, but, and then when I started doing it, I didn't do this. My intentions, even to this day, is not doing a podcast to make money. I love doing it. I love spending time doing this. If I had to pay myself a salary, I'd be losing money. But, on the amount of time that I spend doing this. But I do this for a completely different reason. I do this podcast because I had a rough time with kind of handling my encounter. From 1978, 79 time frame to 1992, I've had a total of 5 encounters. Well, actually, I'm going to say up until just last month. Or the beginning of this month, I will say number 6 encounter, and I'll tell you that one. It's a short encounter. I'm so geeked about it. I love it. I'm so excited about it, and it wasn't a Class A, but anyway, I held my encounter, my sighting, for like 30 plus years. One day I was just messing around on YouTube, and I came across Sasquatch Chronicles, Wes Germer. And I listened to a couple episodes, and I was really like in combat with myself. Like I had an internal combat going on. Like, do I say this because I know I'm going to get ridiculed. I know people are going to call me a liar, people saying that I'm fabricating everything. And, I'm going to do my best not to get emotional, man, because it was like a struggle to reach out to Wes and say, hey, when I was 12, this is what happened. And I said, F it, I'm going to email him. So I emailed him. And then literally like in a day, he emailed me back, says, hey, give me a call. Let's talk. Let's get you scheduled. And so he scheduled me. I went on there. And I didn't even tell him the entire encounter. I told him just a portion of the encounter because I didn't know how it was going to be received. I didn't know, I'm not going to lie. I went and I looked at the chat, and I was so afraid that people were going to, this guy's full of crap. This guy is such a liar. But it's not what it was, And then I messaged him because not only have I had, cryptid encounter, Bigfoot encounters, I've had paranormal encounters. And it wasn't like I was looking to say, "Hey guys, guess, let's hear these stories." I was actually looking for help. Like I needed to talk to somebody because I had active stuff going on in my house. And I had stuff happening to me. And I needed to, so he turned me on to Tony Merkel. And then I went on Tony Merkel's show twice. Because after the first time, I was telling him about a bunch of the stuff that had happened in the past, and then a little bit of current stuff. And it seemed like after I started talking about that, everything just started ramping up. Like it started getting worse and worse. So he had me on again. I've been on Sasquatch Odyssey. I've been on Bigfoot Society. I've been on Mysteries Unknown. I've been on Drunken Cryptids. I've been on a couple other shows. And I find that the more I talk about it, the easier it gets me, to now come to 100% grips with what happened. Because, again, you have people who actively go out looking for these things. I never did. I have never, not one time, except for my most recent encounter, I never went out looking for these things. I never made a conscious effort to get up in the morning and say, I'm going to go look for Sasquatch today. When I had my very first encounter, I was 7, maybe.
Really?
Had no clue what a Bigfoot was. Never heard the term in my life. Okay? When I was 9, same thing. No clue whatsoever. It wasn't until I was about 11 years old when I saw the Patterson-Gimlin film that there is a name for these things. And I was fascinated. Like when a fat kid eats a piece of chocolate cake for the first time, and yeah, people, I said fat kid because I'm a fat kid myself. I'm a 53-year-old fat kid. I weigh, I weigh 355 pounds and I'm 5'9". I'm a chubby dude. I'm jolly. Okay, get off my back. But it's when I saw that film that I went to the library, asked our librarian at school, "Do we have a book of something like this?" And she goes, And there was one book, but it had the Loch Ness Monster in it. It had a bunch of other things in it, but there was a chapter on Bigfoot. And I read that chapter, and the chapter was probably 7 to 8 pages long. But I read that over and over and over. And I looked at that picture of Patty time and time again. And I go, I wonder if they're up here in the Pacific Northwest, if they're up here in Washington State. Now, I know they're in Northern California. Maybe they're in Oregon. Don't know. But man, that would be so cool if they were here. And then in 1984, I was 12 years old. And I knew they were in Washington State. That's when I had my sighting.
What were you doing at the time?
Well, my dad and I, I'll start to this area. It was in Graham, Washington. My little brother and I, we had just moved back to live with my dad. My mom was remarried for the 3rd time. Oh no, she was divorced between her 3rd husband. She was divorced from her 3rd husband. She was dating this new guy who wound up being her 4th husband, my stepdad. And you know what? People say 3rd time's a charm. No, you guys, in this instance between my mom and my dad, because they were both married 4 times, and 4th time's a charm. They met the person that they were supposed to be with. They were both with those people over 20 years. Unfortunately, my dad's gone. My stepmom's gone. My stepdad's gone. My mom's gone. So, my little brother's gone. So I don't have anybody left. It's just me. And I have I have an older brother, but I very rarely talk to him. I don't know him that well. And then I have a youngest brother who every once in a while we'll talk, but I don't know him that well. But between having the same mom, same dad, I'm the only one left. And then I have a
Yeah.
little sister that was adopted, you know, and I love her. We talk all the time. But so we just moved back from I want to say it was Colorado. We moved back to live with my dad in Washington State, and we lived in Graham. We lived in an adult, like a retirement RV, an elderly RV park. My dad didn't want us growing up there. There's no place for, you know, a 12 and a 10-year-old. So he bought some land. We didn't know, but he bought 5 acres of land, cleared about 3/4 of an acre because he was going to build a house there for us. We were living in a fifth wheel. So going forward, I'll call it just the camper. And he'd put this fifth wheel on this land, had everything hooked up. We had everything we needed, you know, water, electrical, all that type of stuff. He had built a huge deck that was easily twice as wide as the camper and almost as long as the camper. My dad loved sitting out on the deck, barbecuing, whatever. He put a big, tall pole on like the far corner of it, and he put a platform on top of that pole because he was going to put a bird feeder up there. Because he was a bird watcher. He loved watching birds. He could tell you what he would hear it. He'd tell you what it was. You know, he could see one. He'd tell you exactly what it was. And why is that here at this time of year? Those things should be migrated. Something's not right. Whatever, right? So he shows us this 5 acres of land. The rest of it's all woods, pine, you know, fir, and other trees that are native to the area. Tons of wildlife, porcupines, deer, coyotes, you know, everything. And I remember one night in the fifth wheel in the camper, there's a loft. That's where me and my brother slept. And I'm sleeping on the side that's closest to the trees. Huge storm. I mean, this thing is rocking the camper. My dad had it anchored down with anchor straps and had cement blocks put up underneath it to kind of give it more of a foundation. But still, every time the wind would gust, you'd feel that camper move a little bit. And all of a sudden, I'm laying on my back. All of a sudden, I feel like the camper just goes, boom, and then drops back down. And it freaks me out because I literally rolled off of my bed into this little gap that's between me and my brother's mattresses, right? And I get back up and I pull open this little curtain that's right next to the window, and a flash of lightning hits, and I could see this thing walk underneath this tree. And I'm like, holy, Dad, I just saw a Bigfoot, right? And my dad's like, shut up, you're going to wake your brother up. You didn't see no Bigfoot. Go back to sleep. You're blah, 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 you know? And so I didn't go to bed for the rest of the night. I stayed up, laid there in bed, and I was peeking out that window trying to see some things. Then my mind started working on me, and like I didn't want to get near that window again. You know, I kind of peeked out a couple times, and then I was afraid that if I looked out the window again, it'd be standing right there looking at me. You know, then there would have been crap all over the house, all over the camper, right? Literally, it would have been everywhere. So the morning came up, you know, the next morning, I get up, I go outside, and I'm looking around. It had rained literally all night. Not a drizzle, not a sprinkle. Like it was buckets of water being dumped out of the sky. I couldn't see any tracks. You know, my dad heard me get up. He comes out. He's like, what are you doing? I go, Dad, this is where I saw it. I walked underneath this branch of this tree. And he's like, I go, yeah, and its head almost touched. He's like, no, Daniel, it did not. I go, Dad, yes, it did. Now I'm kind of getting aggravated with my dad because my dad's pretty much calling me a liar to my face. And I'm like, this is ridiculous, you know. And he goes, really? I go, Dad. So he goes and he opens up the shed and gets out a tape measure. And he starts taping it up. And he goes, tell me when to stop. So I tell him to stop. And he locks the tape measure. And he's like, Daniel Anthony, there is no way it was this big. I go, yes, it was that big. Its head was about right there. He's like, son, this is like 8 feet tall, around a little over 8 feet tall. And I go, Dad, I know what I saw. I said, it walked through the woods right there. Now you could see where some of the branches had broken in, like so something pushed its way through. You can kind of see some where the pine needles and things were a little bit disturbed, but there was no definite prints or anything. Because again, it rained so hard, you know. anything that was in the mudded area, it was washed out. And my dad's like, he's like, well, I still don't think you saw it. I go, Dad, yes, I did. So I turned around to walk back to the house because I'm pissed off. I'm pouting now. I'm a 12-year-old pouter. My dad just called me a liar, and that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And I turn around, I look at the camper, and I go, then what did that? And he looks, and there was a massive dent in the side of the camper. And I go, look at that. And I pointed to some of the cement blocks. Two of the straps were pulled up out of the ground. These things were anchored deep into the ground. They were completely pulled up. And some of the cement blocks, you could tell, were broken from the weight of the camper coming back down. And he goes, listen, don't tell your brother. I don't need you freaking your brother out. And then I hear my little brother go, well, tell me what? And my dad goes, oh, well, a tree branch hit the camper last night. He goes, oh, that's what that noise was. And then, okay, content with the answer, turns around, walks back into the camper. So that was right after we moved into this property. Now, a little bit ways, I want to say it's right about spring break-ish. We had spent the time, that spring break, in Tacoma visiting my aunt, my uncle, and my cousins. And so we spent pretty much the entire spring break there. My dad's coming home with us now. He went down, picked us up. And as we're coming home, you come off of the main paved road onto this dirt road. Now, when I was 12, I thought this dirt road was like 5 miles long. No. In reality, it's maybe a mile 3/4 max, but no more. And the way the road was, you came off of the paved road, it kind of sloped down a little bit, and then it leveled out. And then you had like a small little rise. And that did that at like 2 or 3 times before you got to our driveway, what we pulled in. And there, about midway down, there was another road that kind of branched off to the left and went further off. Now, I never, went up into that area often. I found out later that there was a house that was built up there. Wandering through the woods and ran into the kid that lived there, about the same age as me. 2 12-year-old kids goofing off in the woods, and we run into each other. What are the chances of that happening?
I mean, do kids actually play outside anymore?
No. Well,
'cause I spent all my time in the woods.
Oh, I very rarely was in the house. If I was in the house for any extended period of time, I was listening to music. But other than that, if I could take music with me and I was on my bike, my dad wouldn't see me until midnight. And then I'd get a beating. But anyway, so we're coming back and we come off the paved road. We kind of go down. And when we come down, my dad's headlights catch something up in the road, further down the road. And I'm like, Dad, did you see it? There's eye shine up there. He's like, oh, it's probably a deer, whatever. It'll see us coming. It'll move. It'll hear us. And I'm like, Dad, turn your brights on. I said, we got to see, it's going to be up there. And my dad, I think it was a 71 Boss something 302. It was a Mustang. It was a super cool Mustang. And my dad, for when he moved here, he put driving lights on this Mustang that he had. And he angled them out as far out as he possibly could so he could see the sides of the road, because the last thing my dad wanted was to hit a deer or have a deer hit this Mustang, because this Mustang was black and gold, and it was awesome. 2-door. I mean, I remember my dad getting on the highway and opening it up and it pushing us back in the seats when he drove. I mean, it was awesome. So we're driving down and we come back up this rise, and we come back up this little rise. There's the eye shine again. And I go, Dad, it's right there. Look, it's right there, right there. Turn your brights on, turn your brights on. He's like, no, it sees us. It'll move. So again, we dip back down. We come back up this rise, and I go, Dad, turn the brights on. It's going to be right up here. Watch, it's going to be up here. And as soon as we started cresting that, my dad turned those those driving lights on and the brights on, and it lit her up. And when I say her, yes, it was a female Sasquatch. She was kind of hunkered down on the passenger side of the road, so on the right-hand side of the road, and she stood up, and she just kept going and going and going. I didn't think she was going to stop standing up, John. Like, I thought, have you ever been on one of those rides, like the Tower of Terror or whatever, where you have the ones that drop you or the ones that shoot you up, and you don't think you're going to... Yeah, and like you don't think that you're ever going to stop going up. I thought she was just going to keep going and going and going and going.
Wow.
And when my dad hit those brights and those driving lights, she turned her torso like this and brought her hand up to block the bright lights. Saw the palms of her hand. Like, legit, I saw detail in the palms of her hand. Saw the hair that was, not fur, hair, hanging off of her forearm. Saw her breasts. Saw her face for a brief second. And then as soon as she did this and she started moving back, I slid down into the floorboard because I was sitting in the front seat. My dad maintained his speed. He did not slow down. He did not speed up. He maintained his speed. I figured, being down there a couple of seconds, that we were already past. Like, we drove past her. So I peeked, kind of climbed back up onto the seat and peeked my head out at the passenger front window. And I still saw her. She was standing in the wood line, and she was watching us. She was watching us.
Did she move, or was it just it was that far away and she was so big you thought you were closer?
No, when I saw her turning away, like she turned like this, and then like this. This whole encounter lasted less than 10 seconds. Well less than 10 seconds. And when she turned back, I didn't know what she was going to do. Apparently, she had moved off the road, off into the woods. I wish... Okay, here's the thing. I was so excited, but I was absolutely terrified at what I had just seen. In my mind is going, holy crap, they're really here. They're here. They're here. Of all places, they're here in Graham, Washington. Holy crap. In my heart, my rest of my body, I'm freaking out. I notice I'm shaking. I'm scared. Because this thing is massive. Well over 7 feet tall. If I had to guess a weight, 600, between 400 and 600 pounds.
Holy cow.
But the best way that I can describe her body was almost like Patty, but not as robust. Not
like the barrel.
Yeah, not really bulky, but similar. Very similar, but not as not as barrel.
Patty looked like a barrel with legs.
Yes, but she had a bigger upper body.
Okay.
She definitely had a bigger upper body. You could see her breast. The thing is, she didn't have a thick coat of hair over her chest. You could definitely tell that they were breasts. Like, this woman's got hairy breasts. You right? She had a very, very rounded jawline, kind of nose, just like ours, but bigger. Not pressed in, not flat, not pudged up, just a bigger version of our nose. Hair was long that came down, but you could tell that her neck, it looked like her neck just, like her head was almost sitting on her shoulders. And she had massively wide shoulders. Of course, she had the brow ridge. She didn't have so much a conical head than more of a rounded. Her upper lip was thinner than her bottom lip, like way thinner. And her face had almost no hair. Her hair color was like a dark charcoalish gray color. Her skin was black. And when we drove by, there was still enough light coming off of those driving lights that my dad had that when I saw her, I watched her blink her eyes.
Really?
The eye shine I saw was like an amber, like a deep amber, reddish color eye.
And it was definitely eye shine?
It was, it to me, it looked like eye shine. But now here's the thing. When we drove by her, I watched her eyes go from red to black.
Huh.
Like when she blinked. And when she opened her eyes again, they were red again.
Wow.
And then black. Like right before I don't know what to think. Again, could it be from that light? Again, this was seconds. It was seconds. Our driveway was like 200 feet, roughly, past where we saw her. My dad pulled in. My dad didn't even have time to stop the car. I already had the door open up. I was stepping out of a moving car. I jumped out. I ran. Now, there were 4 steps. It was about 4 feet up in the air. Because, on a camper, they've got those little flimsy 2 steps. And you've got to, like, almost high jump to get up on these steps. They're not very easy to get on. My dad had built the deck up to where it was right flush with the door. So it's like you step 4 steps up on the deck, you walked, and then there was the door, no problem. I jumped at a dead run, jumped up those 4 steps, didn't even touch one, landed on the deck, unlocked the door, ran inside. A couple seconds later, I hear my dad's door shut. I hear him come up the steps. And again, my dad's not really rushing. He's just very calmly carrying my little brother in. My little brother's in the back seat, just sound asleep. When he comes in, he's holding my brother like this. My brother's kind of like draped over his shoulder. He takes him up, puts him in the bed, comes back down, starts going into the cupboards, going in the refrigerator, pulling all these different types of foods out. Takes it out, puts it on one of the tables we have on the deck. I hear my dad walk across the deck, down the stairs. I hear the other car door shut. I didn't shut the car door. Passenger door was still wide open. I hear my dad shut that. He gets into the shed, pulls out a ladder, comes, puts the ladder up. And I'm watching my dad do this. He's put the ladder up. He takes all his food, puts it up on this platform because he didn't have his bird feeder up there yet. So he's putting all up on this platform, right? And I'm watching him do this. And then he comes in real quick, grabs a rag out from underneath the seat or a sink, goes back out, starts squirting all of this stuff onto this rag, and he starts smearing it on the pole. It's grease. That's what my dad's putting on this pole. He's greasing the pole. Now, I don't understand to this day, 41 years later, what made me stop thinking about what we had just seen about 10, 15, 20 minutes ago. Now I'm fixated on why is he putting this stuff on the pole? Why? He gets down, he puts the ladder up, he comes back, and I go, Dad, why did you put that stuff on the pole? And he's like, oh, that's so no animals get that. No animals get that food up there. And I go, oh, you mean like raccoons? He's like, yeah, buddy, raccoons. So no raccoons get up there. And that made perfect sense. I don't know why. But it also, even now, all these years later, I look back at it, that conversation with my dad completely took me out of that space where we were just at. And it normalized the whole thing for me. Because I know raccoons are they're cute and little trash pandas, but they're also destructive little turds, and they're opportunists. If there's a meal to be had, they're going to find it. And my dad didn't want anything. But now, I still don't know why he put that food up there. And I never asked him. So, I'm laying in the bed, and my dad was a smoker, grabbed his smokes, he went out on the deck. He never smoked in the camper at all. he's out there smoking, and he didn't shut the door all the way. And so I hear him talking. And so now I get nosy. So I get out of the bed and I kind of stand by the door so I can hear him. And I hear him say something to the effect, again, this isn't 100% verbatim. Again, you guys, this is 41 years ago. He said something to the effect like, we know you saw us. You know we saw you. This is my home. These are my boys. This is my family. This is my sons, my children. Please don't hurt them. Don't scare them. We don't mean you no harm. We just want to build a home here. We want to be a family. We don't mean any disrespect. And I hear him take his last drag off his cigarette, and he throws it in the bud can. And I can hear him exhaling as he's coming to the door, and I jump back onto the bed. Now, the bed I'm talking about is my dad's bed. It's a queen-size sleeper sofa, like a hideaway bed, and that's where I was sitting. And he comes in, and I go, who are you talking to? And he's like, oh, I wasn't talking to anybody. I go, well, you were talking, I heard you. I was like, no, I was praying. And I go, well, I didn't hear you say amen. And he kind of chuckled and he says, amen. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying to you guys, in all the years on this earth that I got to spend with my dad, never once did he ever go to church that I know of. Not once did I ever hear my dad pray. Now, did he tell me he was praying to maybe normalize everything? Yes, I think that's what he was doing. I think he was doing everything he knew to do to try to keep me from going into a dark place. My dad was raised in Ketchikan, Alaska. My dad has had an encounter with a Kushtaka. And to the day that he died, if I was able to be there in his final seconds, there's no doubt in my mind that my dad would still believe that werewolves are 100% real, because he saw one when he was hunting in Ketchikan, Alaska. And I'll get into that later if you want me to.
Absolutely.
But again, he's doing this, I think I would do the same thing. He was doing everything he could to normalize the situation so I wasn't going to be terrified, where I didn't want to be afraid to go outside. But little did he know, I'm super excited, but yes, I'm scared to death, right? So he asked me, he goes, do you want to sleep with me tonight, buddy? I go, absolutely, I can't. Yes, I do. So he didn't have to ask me twice. So he goes and gets ready for bed. I'm all ready for bed. I'm laying in bed, and he's laying in the bed between me and the door. I've got my back rest up against the wall of this camper, right? And I'm looking for a tissue here real quick. This weather changed around here, man. It's been in like the 20s and 30s, and now yesterday was 70-something, 70-something degrees. Oh,
we had like 2 or 3 inches of snow the other day, and now it's 70 degrees.
Oh, well, it's good. It's supposed to be 70 or 60 something today, and then it's going to be dropped down to 45 tomorrow. So
yeah,
this is stupid. But anyway, so I'm laying there, and I know I'm sleeping, and my dad had one of those old alarm clocks that had like the letters or the numbers that would flip. You could hear them flip, and it had like a amber glow behind them.
Yeah.
So like a 1970s alarm clock. And
every Gen Xer had a parent that had that.
Oh yeah, and it wasn't small. It was like this big, and it was like this thick, and
yeah,
it had a radio on it, and yeah, it was crazy. So I'm sitting there, I'm sleeping, and I hear something heavy step up on the deck. Okay. Not the stairs that lead up to the deck. The deck.
And have a railing around the deck?
Yeah, we had a railing all around the deck. The railing
wow.
was like a 4-foot tall railing.
Holy cow.
So, and if you think you're probably about 3 feet up 3 to 4 feet off the ground to where the deck is, okay, the main part of the deck. Then you have the railings, okay, and that's kind of important, those measurements. So I hear something step up on the deck, and I hear the wood just groan and crack. Like, if anybody's ever heard something heavy press down onto wood, you hear those noises. That's what I heard. And I shot my eyes open. And I remember seeing my dad because of this glow from the alarm clock. And for whatever reason, 1:14 in the morning pops into my head. Every single time I think about that moment, it's like 1:14, 1:15, something like that. And I look over at my dad, and he's pressing his fingers to his lips, telling me to be quiet. And then I hear another step taken. Now it's walking across the deck, and another step taking. I look at my dad, and about the time I look at my dad, I'm wanting to ask him, what is that? I hear and feel something run right next to me. I could feel it coming through the wall that I've got my back leaned up against, and I can feel the vibrations as something runs right next to that wall. And then I hear it run around the back part of the camper, and then you could hear something like grab the railing and then pull itself up over the railing. And I'm looking at my dad, and I'm starting to get terrified. He's kind of holding on to me, kind of got his arm reached back, and he's kind of holding me. And I notice he has a handgun in his left hand. So if he needed to, he could just left hand, there's the door, whatever. Because again, the door is what, maybe this thick, if that.
Yeah.
If they wanted to just rip the wall off, they could. You hear a couple more steps on the deck, and then you hear, again, you guys, I am not a mimic. I can't, but I'm going to do my best that I can make. I heard a vocalization, something like, something like that.
Wow.
To this date, the only other time I was that terrified is when I had an encounter in 92. I tried to become my dad's t-shirt. I couldn't bury myself close enough to my dad. I'm crying. I know I cried myself to sleep. Because the next thing I remember, through the window on the door, and it was like a bathroom window, you cannot visibly see in and out of the window, but light can come in. It's like an opaque, you know?
Yeah.
Light's coming through that, and I kind of get up, I look around, I get out of the bed, I open up the door, and I'm walking out on the deck, and I'm trying to look up at this platform. I go and I jump up on the railing. Now, the railing was not a wide railing. It was a thin railing, right? So I'm standing up there. I'm now probably a good 7 to 8 feet off the ground, standing on the railing. My dad, I used to do backflips off of this thing. And my dad caught me one day and told me if he ever, saw me do it again, he'd beat me into next Tuesday, You'll break your neck. I used to do stupid stuff all the time. And so I climb up on this railing, and I'm looking. I got a perfect vantage point now, and I could see that platform. There's nothing up there. Nothing at all. It's all gone. So I jump off the railing. I land on the deck. My dad hears that, and he yells, "You better not be up on that railing again." And I just start screaming, "Dad, it's all gone. It's all gone. It's all gone." He's like, "What are you talking about?" He comes out. Dad, the food's all gone. Look. And I go running over to the pole, to try to point up and show him. And that's when I notice it. That on this pole, it looks like something had grabbed this pole in multiple spots. And then something had taken a finger and like as far up as it could reach, just brought it all the way down the pole and then wiped that grease off onto the railing.
Holy cow.
And I'm like, Dad, look at this, look at that. And I'm freaking out. It's the greatest thing ever. I'm not scared now. I'm so just excited about that the food is gone. Like, okay, I woke up knowing that we saw something, but did I really see something? Did I hear something? Did I not? What's going on? Now this gives me confirmation that it's real. This really happened. And my dad goes, don't say a word to your brother. I don't need him scared. Don't. He goes, I go, Dad, what did we see? Dad, did we see? He goes, we saw exactly what you think we saw. So this always now, even later in years when I talked about it and thought about it and heard other people, this led me to, this leads me to believe that my dad knew what we were seeing and might have seen something up in Alaska. Or maybe saw something on this property. Don't know. So fast forward to summer. It was a Saturday. I don't remember the exact Saturday, but I know it was a Saturday because we were supposed to go fishing with my dad. He got called the night before. Hey, we're doing inventory. You need to be there. The reason my dad needed to be there because he was a shipping receiver manager. So he had to be there for inventory, which he was ticked off. So he got up early in the morning and left. Meantime, my brother and I, he's playing Atari 2600. We got the door wide open. We got speakers that we place outside. We're jamming to some, I don't know, The Who or something. We were playing my dad's vinyl. We were doing everything we were not supposed to be doing. Okay? And I hear my dad's car pull up. And this is probably like 4:30. Okay? And I heard my dad do something that I've only heard him do probably total in my life, maybe 3-4 times. He slammed his car door. My dad never slammed his car. He didn't want to trash his cars. He never slammed his car doors, and he slammed it.
Was this the same Mustang that he was slamming? Holy cow, yeah, you ain't slamming that door.
He was pissed about something. And I'm like, oh, and when you're a kid, you hear something like that, and you kind of got a little pucker factor going. You're like, oh, something's not right, and I think I'm in trouble for something. But I didn't do anything wrong, but did I do something wrong? I don't remember. Right? We got the stereo blaring, we're door wide open, no big deal. I hear him yell, Daniel Anthony. And I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. I did something. I hear him tromping up.
Middle name. You get that middle name, that means you're in trouble.
Yep. Something's coming. And he stands in the doorway, and I'm just kind of looking at him. And he's like, give me like this shake look, hold his hands out like, well? And I go, what? And he's like, do you want to tell me what happened to the burn barrel? And, back in the day, we didn't have trash service. We burned our trash. So we had a 55-gallon drum.
Uh-huh.
And my dad had put like 2 bags, like 20-pound bags of sand in the bottom, dumped the sand in there so it wouldn't blow over or whatever. And I go, I don't know. What do you mean? I didn't burn any trash today. What do you mean? What happened to the burn barrel? And he goes, seriously, man, are you messing with me? But he said the F word. Are you effing with me? And I go, no, Dad, what are you talking about? I don't know what happened to the burn barrel. And he's like, get out here right now. And he starts gritting his teeth, and he's making a finger gesture for me to come outside. I'm like, oh, hell, I'm in trouble. Like, legit, I'm in trouble. And he goes, come with me right now. And I'm like, oh, he's going to take me around here and he's going to whack me. I know it. I know it. So we walk out and he goes, and before he could say anything, I look over to where the burn barrel is and it's gone. And I go, Dad, what happened to the burn barrel? He's like, that's what, boy, don't you play with me. That's what I'm talking about. I go, Dad, how do I know it? I didn't burn trash today. He goes, well, what'd you do with it? I go, Dad, I didn't do nothing with the burn barrel. So now I'm getting mad. Like, I'm getting mad at my dad because he's calling me a liar, you know? And about this time now, you know, I'm like, listen, now I'm 13 years old now, you know? And I'm like, okay, you know, or coming up on 13. I'm like, listen. So I start giving it back to him. And I know my pride, I should have learned to swallow my pride real quick. But man, my mouth was writing checks hand over fist quicker than, and I knew that every check I was writing with my mouth that my body was not going to be able to cash. I just knew it. But I was already past the point of no return. So I just kept going with it. And he's like, well, it just didn't walk up and disappear itself. I go, Dad, what? I said, you know what did it? I said, it was that Bigfoot. That Bigfoot took that garbage. He goes, what is he going to do with the burn barrel, son? What? I go, I don't know. I go, what do you want me to tell you? He's like, boy, he goes, you take that tone with me one more time. And I go, Dad, I don't know. He goes, where'd you move it, Daniel? I go, Dad, the burn barrel in the sand weighs more than I do. I didn't even weigh 100 pounds until I got into 10th grade.
Holy cow.
I'm in 8th grade. I'm weighing maybe 75 pounds, if that. I'm like, Dad, this burn barrel weighs more than me. I should pick it up and walk away with it. He's like, find it. I go, where am I supposed to look? He goes, I'll look over here. You go wherever and find it. So whatever, something pulled me to walk into the woods. And about 30 feet into the woods, I find it. And it wasn't like it was just placed in there. It was thrown.
Wow.
Something picked it up and threw it into the woods. And so I go to Dad, hey, I found it. He found what? I go, what do you think we're looking for? Now I knew. I knew.
The Holy Grail was out here. I just happened to find it while looking for a burn barrel.
As soon as I said that I knew, I was going to get punched right in the mouth. I just knew it. And he goes, Daniel, and I go, okay, Dad, I found the burn barrel. And he's like, well, what's it doing in here? And then again, the checkbook opened up. And I go, how do I know? And he goes, well, let's move it back. You know, we had this little spat. Now, again, we're yelling at each other now. And so we move it back and set it in place. And I go, Dad, I'm telling you, I know it was one of those Bigfoot. It was a Bigfoot. It had to have thrown it in here. And he goes, listen, it did not. I go, Dad, then how did it get in there? Because I didn't move it. And it was thrown in there. You saw how it looked. He goes, listen, if it was one of those, don't say nothing to your brother. And again, it's like the magic words. My brother pops up out of nowhere. Don't tell me what. Now, my brother came out because my brother was a peacekeeper. He didn't like to see me and my dad argue, didn't like to see my dad and I fight, and he hated, his whole life, he hated confrontation. And he'd always try to make sure everything was leveled out and eased out. He didn't want anybody to be angry with each other. So, my dad and I, we start jawing at each other. He hears that. He comes out just at the time, don't tell your brother. And he goes, well, tell me what? And before my dad could say anything, I go, Bobby, a Bigfoot threw the burn barrel in the woods. And man, lightning quick, my dad popped me in the back of the head, man. Just fuck, bah! And my brother, without missing a beat, he goes, oh, well, I don't think it was one of the small ones that I saw. And we look at each other and I go, what? And my dad's like, what do you mean? He goes, oh, yeah, I've seen a couple of small ones around here.
How old was your brother?
10, almost 11. Actually, he did turn 11. because his birthday was in April. So he was 11 at this time.
Wow.
And so he goes, yeah. He goes, I've seen him quite a few times. I go, we're like, what? Where? He goes, oh, come here, I'll show you. So we go walking around the camper. We go walking through the clearing that was slowly but surely becoming our yard. You know, that my dad was going to start putting sod down and stuff so we'd have grass where our house was being built. And he goes, you see that crop of trees right over there in the corner? And we're like, yeah. He goes, I see him come over from this way sometimes. And they'll sit right in that little crop of woods. He goes, if you're really careful, if you look really, really close, you can see him. But most of the time, you can't. And he goes, they come out when we're playing music or if we're out here grilling. He goes, I've seen them before. And he goes, I've thrown some tennis balls and baseballs out there to them, but they never give them back. They just keep them. and we're like, what the heck? So, now we have confirmation of what's going on. We had a tree house. And one time my brother said he was walking out to the tree house and he saw one of the small ones jump out of the tree house, landed, and it wasn't like stick the landing, then take off running. It's like it jumped out and it was at a dead run as soon as it hit the ground. He said it ran through the tree so quick that he couldn't track it. He couldn't follow it. Wow. There were times where we were walking back out into the tree house, and we would get this feeling. We'd go like 10, 15 feet into the woods, and we'd look at each other and goes, yeah, we need to go back to the house. So we'd go back to the camper and do whatever. There was one time we were both in the tree house, and I was looking out the window because I just got this really weird feeling. And I looked at my brother, and I go, man, he's like, yeah, we need to go. And when I looked out the window, I saw something probably about 70, 75 feet away go like this and then snap back behind a tree real quick. And then looked over on this side and then snap back again. Huh. Now, what I saw was way bigger than the female and the one that walked underneath that limb. This one, he stood if he was an inch, he was 10 feet tall.
Holy cow.
And he was massive. And he was all black. And I don't know why he thought that he was hiding behind this tree, because his shoulders were wider than the tree was. And I came to the realization that we had a family in the area, not necessarily living in the 5 acres that we had. I mean, we had a creek that went through there. There's a pond, a couple ponds back there. But in this whole area, there's a lot of it's perfect conditions for them to live. The one I saw in the woods that thought he was peeking, obviously was the father. The female we saw was the mother. The one that I think threw the burn barrel and also tried to push our camper over was like an adolescent, like late teens, early 20s, like their older son. And then the two other smaller ones were the two youngest juveniles.
Did your brother ever say how tall the younger ones were?
He said one was almost my dad's height, and my dad was 5'7", and the other one was more of my height, and I was probably about like 5'3", 5'4" at the time.
Okay.
And
really young then compared to the other ones.
Yep. And he said they were darker, not quite black, but he said it looked like they had like brownish in them as well. So, and then that following October, my dad was involved in a very bad accident. He was almost killed. We get a phone call at 4 a.m. Is my dad. He convinced somebody who saw the accident to take him to work. He said, I need to call my boys. He called us, said, I'm going to the hospital. I was involved in a bad accident. The Mustang was totaled. My dad had T-tops put in this Mustang. He had it customized. If it wasn't for those T-tops, my dad would have 100% been dead. He got catapulted out of the T-tops.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my aunt was coming to pick us up. So we grabbed everything that we needed. She came, picked us up, and we left. I didn't see that property until the following spring. I was 13 at this time. And when we got there, it was me, my dad, my brother, and my aunt. I had already taken everything that I'd wanted. I didn't have a lot of stuff. My brother, my aunt, and my dad were inside. They were going through stuff, packing stuff up. And I walked around the camper, and every single window had like something was trying to look inside to see inside the camper. Now, all the blinds were drawn, all the curtains were closed, and it could have been anybody. It could have been someone going down the road. Oh, look, here's a camper. Let's look inside to see, what can we take? I don't think it was anybody just looking inside. And the reason I say this is because if anybody's familiar with a fifth wheel have those lofts. They have windows on the sides and the front. And those marks were also looking in on those windows. So unless you had a ladder, you're not going to look into those windows. And the reason that was the last time is because my dad, unfortunately, he didn't lose his job. He was just on a medical leave, and it wasn't enough he lost the property.
Right.
And he sold the fifth wheel, and the owners of the property wanted the fifth wheel off of there. And when everything was said and done, it looked like we had never lived there. So, yeah, and I believe it was that family unit checking on us.
Want to know where you guys went.
Yeah. Because at times, we had seen glimpses of them through this whole time. We lived there for about a year and a half. We'd see glimpses of them. Every once in a while, we'd find like a dead raccoon or a dead rabbit sitting on the deck on that platform. I remember one day I got up there and I found a solid blue marble. And I kept that marble for the longest time, and I lost it in a move. I put it in a baby food jar, and I lost that marble. Yeah. But we'd find things up there. Berries would be up there sometimes. Rock would be up there. We'd find rocks sitting on the railings, like just lined up on the railing. Yeah, it's crazy. And I never really mentioned a lot of that stuff before because it's just small little ancillary things,
But it is important.
Yeah, I mean, my dad only gave that much of an offering. I call it an offering now, that one time. Now, would we put other things out there every once in a while? Yeah, my brother and I would, if we cooked hot dogs, we put like 2 or 3 hot dogs out there, something like that, not knowing what we were doing.
Right.
Oh, hey, we'll give them some hot dogs or something like that. Or we'd go out in the woods and we'd put like, apples or something like that out there. And again, not knowing, having any idea what we were doing.
Right.
Hey, we're going to share with them. I wonder if they would like it. And again, we'd go back and be gone. Now, could it be a deer? Yes. Could have been a raccoon? Probably. But you like to think that it's one of them. But with the tennis balls and baseballs, a deer's not going to take a tennis ball or baseball, So.
Yeah.
And that's my sighting.
Holy cow. So let's go back to your first sighting.
That is my first sighting.
No, I mean the lightning strike.
And
so we're going back to there. Could you make out like any color or anything like that? Or
it was darker. It was darker than the female. But I wouldn't say 100% black. It looked like it had like grayish, like dark grayish. You could definitely tell the difference between like a dark gray and a black.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw that coloring.
Okay. And you felt like it wasn't the male, it wasn't like the dad, it wasn't the mom. So it'd be like an older sibling.
Yeah, like an older sibling. And I'm almost 100%. Again, 99.89% sure that it was the one that tossed the burn barrel, because the female never showed any aggression. According to my brother, I never saw the juveniles. They never showed any aggression. And the big male, I've seen him twice, or kind of peeking twice. You definitely tell that the air around you changed, but it was more like a dad looking out for his two boys. Like, don't be stupid. Don't get into any trouble. Don't be dumb.
Right.
So.
And maybe I missed it. How tall did you think the big male was?
The dad?
Yeah.
Easily 10 feet tall.
Holy cow.
Easily 10 feet tall.
Could you make out any detail on him other than the width of his shoulders or the coloring?
No. At 75 feet, I saw
Right.
it peek out. You'd see his skin, again, it was black skin, not as black as his hair. But again, eyes were black. You could kind of see like a sheen almost, but it was just like, look, and then he'd pop his
Right.
head out. Then he kind of, okay, maybe I can see him better on this side. Boom, then he'd pop his head back in.
On any of them, whether it was the female or the dad, did the skin look oily?
Honestly, I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't
Fair-
think
fair enough.
it didn't look dry. I can tell you that.
Okay.
It
Some
didn't
people
look dry.
talk about this like oily sheen.
Yeah,
Like
it
they're
didn't look dry.
An oiled catcher's mitt or something.
Yeah, like they moisturize.
Yeah, or they're kind of shiny.
Yeah, not that I could tell.
Okay.
But it did not look dry or ashy.
Right. Okay. There was only one of them, the big female,
Mhm.
that you said you saw her hands.
Yeah.
Did you happen to notice how many fingers it had?
Just like ours,
Okay, it was 5. Okay.
but on a master scale. And I will tell you, see the detail you see in the hands?
Yeah.
I saw that on her hands.
Oh, really? Like the creases and stuff?
Yep, when she put her hands like this.
Oh,
Because
wow.
she went like this, and then she turned, she dropped her hand down and moved.
Wow. Okay. Was she wearing a wedding ring?
I don't think so.
We don't know. Maybe they have wedding rituals,
Maybe they do.
and that was an opportunity to find out.
Yeah. She was single and ready to mingle.
Could be. Or,
Oh,
they're
there's-
polyamorous.
There's stories out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've heard.
yeah.
I laughed the entire time I listened to it.
Yeah.
So
All right. So that was your first sighting. How many sightings? You said you have 5?
well, I've had 6 encounters. Now the one that I think is a second sighting was when I was stationed at Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay.
I was there. I was in the Air Force.
And that's it for tonight. I'd like to thank Dan for coming on the show and be looking out for part 2 coming out on Saturday. If you haven't yet, make sure you're checking out the descriptions on all my videos. You're going to find a list of all my favorite podcasts, from Nevermore Hollows, Drunken Cryptids, Chumming with the Spirits, Ghost Gossip, and so much more. And if you've had a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. Good night, everyone.
Shadow in the pines lurking in the dusky air. Bigfoot stomps through the woods like he don't care. Lights in the sky flash green then blue. Aliens descending with a secret or two. Whispers in the breeze, cold fingers down your spine. Ghosts in the graveyard, twisting through time. Eyes wide open in the dead of night. The myths and monsters giving one hell of a fright. Oh, Myths, Monsters, and Mullets podcast, spinning wild tales of a future and a past. Hosted by John Methenkamp's fiery soul. He takes us where the wild unknown raspy growl. Swamp gas glowing as the coyotes howl. A UFO